In this video, I'm going to be using toolpaths nesting to create the toolpaths for multiple parts on one sheet of material. The nesting option in Mastercam fits parts onto a sheet of material for best yield. Nesting operates on geometry or toolpaths. Mastercam can place a single nesting operation in the Toolpaths Manager or break the nesting operation into separate operations for each sheet of material. You can even nest operations for a part that are on opposite sides of a single sheet. So let's get started. Now I'm on the wirepaths page, and in the utilities section I'm going to click on nesting. Now here we are on the sheets page, and what I'm going to do is set up the size of the material. So it's 12 by 8 high. Now I'm also going to deactivate create necessary quantity. Now the grain direction, I'm going to open up the drop down and I'm going to select ignore. Now the nesting corner, I'm going to leave that set to lower left, and for the fill direction I'm going to select calculate. Now in the lower right corner, the sheet margin, I'm going to set that to 0.125, so you enter the amount of space between the edge of the sheet and the parts. So we've got our sheet set up. Now what we need to do is insert some parts. So I'm going to move up and click on the Parts tab, and then in the white space for Parts List I'm going to right mouse click and then select Add Operation Clusters from Files. Now these are the 4 files that we're going to be using, so I'm going to select Nest Part 1, hold the Shift key down on my keyboard and then select Nest Part 4. So that's all 4 of those guys captured. I'm going to click on Open. So here we are back on the Parts tab, and there's our 4 files. So this is Nest Part 1, there's Nest Part 2, Nest Part 3 and Nest Part 4. Now I'm going to go back to Nest Part 1, and just down below the minimum quantity is set to 1. I'm going to change it to 4. Now I'm going to set up Nest Part 2, so I'm going to select it in the parts list, and the minimum quantity I'm going to set that to 6. Over now to Nest Part 3, and for the minimum quantity I'm going to set that to 10. And now for Nest Part 4, the minimum quantity, going to set that to 6. Now over to the last tab, Parameters. So for the sorting method I'm going to set it to none, and this sorts the operations in the order that the parts were placed on the sheet. Now down below, minimum tool change, I'm going to deactivate that. Stop condition, I'm going to leave it set to none, and for the work offsets I'm going to leave it 1 work offset for each instance of a sheet. Now next up, I'm going to move down to the lower left corner and click on the Config button. Just going to move the dialog box just up a touch. Now the accuracy, I'm going to leave it set to fine. Now I'm not going to make any changes here, I'm going to leave everything as is. So I'm going to click the green check mark for OK, and here we are back at the parameters page. Now I'm done here, green check mark for OK. So the nesting results dialog box appears, and we have a preview layout of the 4 files on the 8 by 12 sheet. Now check out the right hand side of the sheet. There seems to be some room here for a few more parts. So what I'm going to do is move on down to the lower left corner and click on the redo button. Next up, I'm going to click on the Parts tab And now I'm going to click on Nest Parts 3. Now as you can see, the minimum quantity is 10. I'm going to up that to 16. I'm going to click on the green check mark for OK. So we now have a warning, minimum quantity not achieved. Nested equals 14 and the minimum that we required is 16. Now I'm going to click on the green check mark for OK. Now back at the nesting results dialog box, notice that the space on the right has been populated with more of the nest part 3 parts. Now previously there were 10 of the nest part 3 parts, now there are 14. Now what I'm going to do is move on down to the bottom and click on the green check mark for OK. So check out the ghost icon against these 4 parts. So the ghost icon, this enables and disables posting on selected operations. Now next up, what I'm going to do is the nesting operation. I'm going to click on parameters. Now we're on the Sheets tab. I'm going to click on Parts, and in the list here, the parts list, I'm going to select Part 3. Now the minimum quantity, we set it earlier to 16 and it couldn't reach that. I'm going to change it to 14. I'm going to select the green check mark for OK. And back at the nesting results, everything seems fine here. Green check mark for OK. And then there's our nesting operation updated. I'm going to right mouse click and get an isometric view. What I'm going to do now is just jump over to the View tab, and in the Manager section I'm going to click on Levels to open up the Levels Manager. I'm just going to expand the Levels Manager. So as you can see, we have 4 new levels, Nest Part 1 through Nest Part 4, and these contain the geometry for the 4 parts that were nested. Now I'm going to close down Levels, and I'm just going to shrink the Toolpaths Manager down just a touch. Now that completes this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be talking with you soon. Bye for now.